is expected possibly as early as today in the case against Julian Conley. He is accused of firing shots that killed 8-year-old Secoriea Turner in 2020 during the protests and unrest following the police killing of Rashard Brooks. The defense argues that witnesses described the shooter as dressed in black, while prosecutors contend Conley was captured on surveillance dressed in red and fired the fatal shots. Prosecutors leaned on video evidence and, as investigators certainly to contend that Conley to fire the shots, while the defense pushes back on the testimony, casting doubt. As jurors debate the Conley's fate, we're going to bring back in defense attorney Darryl Cohen, back in, my friend there. Good to see you on camera there. I'm looking at you instead of looking at the words there. Welcome back. Let's talk about this particular case right here. Take us through the jury today, right? They're going to be deliberating for a couple of hours. They deliberated a couple of hours yesterday, and now what are they going to be going through as far as the activity goes for today?
Tessa, you have to remember that jurors are just people, just like you and I, on-camera people, off-camera people, and so they all have a different view of life. And when they look at something, all 12 of them can be looking at exactly the same thing, and each one of them can describe it in a different way. So extrapolate that to the jury deliberation.
Dale, do you
was he wearing red? Was he wearing black? I don't know. But what you do have is you've got great evidence from the prosecution. What you do have, sadly, is a great victim. Anytime a child is injured or murdered, jurors open their collective eyes and ears and pay far more attention, because whoever did that to this child needs to be punished.
Yeah.
Now, the question becomes whether or not the Fulton County DA's office was able to prove beyond and to the exclusion of every reasonable doubt that he is the person who murdered that poor child. And that's what the jury has to decide. And juries don't speak with unanimity. They all have their own opinion, and they have to go through the evidence and make sure that in their collective opinion, which becomes one, that this is the person who did it and therefore should be convicted.
Yeah, we've been following this case from the beginning and been following it very closely. Do you expect the verdict to come down today?
Absolutely. Jurors do not like to be deliberating on weekends. Oftentimes when I was in the DA's office, it was a Friday afternoon, a Friday evening, a jury went out to deliberate. The judge let them know they were going to be deliberating all weekend. And you know what? That was the charge that they needed, and they came to a verdict. And I suspect this jury will do the same.
Yeah, the state is putting a lot of weight on the surveillance video. We talked about that, and a muzzle flash analysis. How persuasive is this kind of evidence to a jury?
A jury loves this type of forensic evidence. It's not what I saw and the way I interpret it. It is what actually happened, and when you can see it up close and personal, it makes a great deal of difference, because you can't say, well, I thought he was wearing red, I thought he was wearing black, I thought he was here, I thought he was there, or she. The jury sees the evidence, and if there's a question in one or more of the jurors' minds, then they can show it again. Yeah. If the judge will allow. So I think juries put a tremendous amount of credibility and weight on real evidence, not evidence that can be not tampered with, but can be looked at from a different angle.
Yeah. How do you evaluate the defense's decision to call just one witness, and that being an activist? Is this a gamble or a smart strategy here?
If he is acquitted, it's a very smart strategy. If he's convicted, it's a dumb strategy. Now, the reality is the defense has only so much they can do, and they have to represent their client in the way that they believe is best for the client. Frankly, had it been me, and it wasn't obviously, I would try to have worked out a plea deal for voluntary manslaughter. But you can't make people do what you want them to do.
Yeah. If the jurors are split between a strong circumstantial evidence or a shaky eyewitness testimony, which way do you think that usually leans?
Well, because here, the strong circumstantial, but it's really direct evidence. It's direct, we can see it. The jury's going to lean, in my view, toward the real evidence. And that's what they should do. Because again, eyewitnesses are what they are. They're real people that have problems and see something the way they want to see it or the way they believe they see it. I think they're telling the truth, but I'll take the real evidence.
All right, Darryl,
Always.
I'm gonna actually put your forecasting hat on, and how do you see this playing out?
I see this as a conviction. And if I'm wrong, it'll be the first time I've been wrong in 5 minutes. But I see it as a conviction, and I see him having life in prison.
Okay.
We've got to stop this sort of thing. It's terrible what's going on in this country right now. We're bleeding every time somebody is killed, murdered, assassinated.
And I was going to ask you that. We got 30 seconds left here. What does this case ultimately say about the justice system in Fulton County and how it balances out with the community's pain and all the things that's going on around this?
Well, it says that the DA's office is doing what they should do. They're prosecuting cases that need to be prosecuted where someone was murdered, and they're doing the right thing. Now, the jury will do the right thing regardless of whether they convict or acquit, but they're doing the right thing and they're doing the best they can do. I believe they will find him guilty.
All right. Darryl Cohen, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks so much for your insight. And when a verdict comes in, of course, we're going to have you back on the show.
Thanks. Take care, Chesney. Have a great day.
Take care now.